So come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard, drown me in love. So come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard, drown me in love.
Matt Nathanson,
dude,
thank you so much for coming here today.
It's awesome to be with you. This is fun.
We've been talking about the idea of talking about your career and your music for, I think, almost a year now.
Yeah.
We finally made it happen. And coming on the eve of a new record.
Yes.
But I wanted to start our conversation today with the song I think maybe most of us who are aware of your music have heard.
Yeah.
The song Come On Get Higher. 2007, although, as we'll learn, it had various incarnations that kind of got it to where it was. I would love to know, to start, what was sort of the early embryonic stages of this song in terms of how it developed, the idea behind the song, and then maybe we can kind of go through and kind of see it in all of its forms as it took shape, and then maybe hear you play a little of it.
Yeah. So Come On Get Higher is one of the, I'm not a songwriter in the traditional sense of like, I just don't really know what I'm doing. And so the process is always one of vomit and refine. I do a lot of co-writing now, which makes things a lot cleaner, because when you're writing with another person that's sort of a songwriter, it's nice because it kind of organizes you a little bit, and you can feel the boundaries a little bit of like, okay, cool, that great. And then you can work within those. But when I was at the time that I did Come On Get Higher, I wrote it with a friend of mine, Mark, who's also a songwriter. He was in a couple bands in college and after college. And I just loved the way his music, we had the same musical taste. So I was like, we should write songs together. But we never went in with the idea of, it was boundaryless. We would kind of sit around and be like, well, what sounds cool? Well, I think this is cool. I don't think that's cool. Okay. And then be, ooh, that's exciting. And then we'd follow it, but it never had like, there was never intention really. But Come On Get Higher came, I'd been on a major label. I had asked to be let go from a major label. I was on Universal. We made a record. And I said to the CFO and the chairman of that label, once the record cycle was done, I said, I don't want to be here and you don't really want me here. This is not a great fit. So can you let me out? And they said, sure. So they let me go. And I was, at that point, I'd built up a touring fan base, driving around in a car. And then Universal, I got a van. I got them to buy me a van and a trailer. And so I had built up this very independent way of doing things. And then 1999, I made a record that got me signed to Universal. I made a Universal record in 2003. And that was because of John Mayer, essentially. Like John Mayer and Jack Johnson became cool. So all of a sudden it was cool to sign like a white dude with a guitar, and everyone was looking for their guy. Mm-hmm. And I had built up this fan base, and then Howie Day came and I toured with him. I toured with Mayer. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, these are fans. Because before that I'd been on tour with John Doe from X. And it was like, we did the whole country with John Doe, me in a car behind him in a van. And it sold like a CD a night. You know what I mean? I'd like play and 3 people would like it, or people would flip me off, but I'd be like, this is what I want to do, you know? And I'd be like, this is great. And it wasn't the audience. So anyway, long story longer, when I played with Mayer and Howie Day at the House of Blues in the summer of 2001, all of a sudden I sold all my merch. I sold everything I brought. And I was like, oh my God, these are people that like my kind of, okay. So then I toured with those people and built up this fan base, signed to Universal because of that momentum, then asked to be let go. I was like, I don't want to do this. And then Come On Get Higher happened. I was making the record independently, and my goal was, I don't want to make a record where it does the thing I don't want it to do. I made a record on Universal with a producer who was great, with a band that I assembled, Matt Chamberlain on drums, David Garza on guitar. It was like my dream band. But when we were making it, I didn't feel like it was the record I wanted to make, and I couldn't articulate it. Mm-hmm. So when I got off Universal, I was like, I'm going to make the record I want to make. And so I got my friend Marshall, who was an A&R guy at Hollywood, who produced records on the side. I was like, I want you to do it, and I want my friend Mark to do it. So the three of us just like went all in on this Some Mad Hope album. And I funded it independently, and I just refused to give up. So Come and Get Higher had one version we recorded in Katati
at Prairie Sun.
Mm-hmm. And it was like, and we were super into, you know, all sorts of stuff. So the record was all over the place, but we were just I was trying to formulate what I wanted it to be. And again, it's not like my record is so revolutionary. I talk about it like it was hard for me to figure out my footing, but it wasn't like I made some unbelievably groundbreaking revolutionary record. I just wanted to make the record I wanted to make. So Come and Get Higher had the version from Prairie Sun. Then we recorded another version at in Encino at House of Blues. Then finally the song got finished being written at that point. So it was 4 years in. Finally the lyric got finished. All the chords got kind of locked in. And the version, we toured it for like a year. There's like a piano intro and sang it. And I was like, and then finally I was like, this kind of sucks. And I said to my manager, I want to re-record that song, Come and Get Higher. And I've got a bunch of other songs to finish the record. And he was like, we should really put this record out. Come and Get Higher sounds great. And I just said, nobody cares about me. Like, there's like, I have 100 fans, you know, I had more, but it's like, nobody really cares. Why would I not want to do anything but make this the record I want to make it? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to re-record it. So we got a new group of people in to record like the last 5 or 6 songs. We did it at the Boat in Silver Lake. And Jason McGurr on drums from Death Cab, Chaves on guitar. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the first incarnation of that group. And we recorded it, and Come and Get Higher kind of like all of a sudden took on this new life, partly because of Jason, partly because of Chaves, partly because we fucking recorded it 6 times and I knew it. And partly because we were listening to what the song wanted to be instead of what we wanted the song to be, which is like, I'm just not a big fan of listening to anybody, let alone what the song wants to be. And Come and Get Higher wanted to be this thing that was way more intimate than we were pushing it to be.
So you had recorded it 6 times, but for them, that was the first time. Because I had spoken with Michael Chaves separately after we had, initially started talks. And I was just curious what he had used for the electric guitar kind of pads and stuff like that. And by the way, it was a Vox and a Silvertone.
And anybody else played that Silvertone, you'd be out of tune. Like, it was the kind of thing where like he controlled it like it was a fucking snake.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, oh, Silvertone, fun. And I put it on, I'd be like, and I'd be like, this thing sucks. Yeah. And then he'd pick it up and it would be perfectly intonated. It was just one of those moments. Like, we'd done I think when you're organized, you can do that homework on your own without having it cost a lot of money, without having people being on the floor, without having to ditch drummers and bass players and all that stuff. But really for us, it was like Mark, Marshall, and I had been chipping away at this song. And then finally it was like Jason came up with that pattern on the drums that's kind of magical, kind of Bill Withersy, like,
so there's a cool little thing that you hit me to where you kind of go through the whole record with kind of all the personnel that were involved, and he mentions, Jason, that like the previous to the version that became the one that we know, it was pretty like straight time as far as the drum, but then he kind of adds in this like extra rhythmic pattern with his left foot on the hi-hat. And that's like the intro that kind of sucks you in, and then comes in the acoustic guitar, and he's kind of the MVP there, I guess.
He was. Who's the drummer that played on the Bill Withers stuff? Is it James Gadsden?
James Gadsden, yeah.
So it's very Gadsden.
Well, let's listen to the first version. This is going to be the Katati version.
Yeah.
And this is the one that is more rock kind of centric, as you said. It sort of announces itself as it gets into the chorus and the various sections of the song. Let's give the folks a little taste of that, and feel free to have any reaction you want as we go.
I will definitely have a reaction, like a shellfish allergy. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's literally like, it sounds like a band playing in a room, right? Everyone's just like, what do you think? Here's the verse coming up. And it's like,
this is the sound of my voice, this ticking bomb in my head, this is the sound of your noise coming down in
believe there's one that goes, in the sound of your voice. I mean, we could stop this. This is terrible. But like, there's a thing that happens with that. So none of the lyrics were done and none of the melodies were done. So we had just rough ideas. And I was like, yeah, let's record the song. Because that's how U2 used to make records, where on Unforgettable Fire, some of those songs are just drum tracks that they slowed down, and then Bono would just sing over the top and write a whole new song with it. And then the band would play to that. And I was like, well, that's what my heroes do. So I was like, let's just record this. We've got enough of it. And we recorded it, and like the verses weren't done lyrically or melodically. The chorus wasn't tight. And I'm just making up sounds, like this is the ticking bomb in my head, all this kind of stuff. And I remember that pre-chorus, if I fall at your feet, never darken your door. I remember just loving that. So I held on to that as long as I could, because I was like, well, that part's amazing. And in the final version, it's gone. So this was the first version at Cotati, and I was like, it only has just that little bit of the chorus is really the only original part that's in there. And I was compelled enough by it to rewrite the verse with Mark, to finish the chorus, to write new lyrics to it. It's weird.
And then we get to the House of Blues.
House of Blues one, yeah.
Should we have a listen?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a listen.
I'm scared of this. Super cut up drums. Like we invented a part. Because the drummer wasn't this kind of drummer that played on this. He was much more of a bar rock drummer. Like, it's like a loop. The piano's a loop.
But the vocal cadence is getting more there.
Yeah, we got the shape finally.
If I could walk on water, if I could tell you what's next, make you believe.
There's your bass part. And then it's like,
yeah.
It sounds like an Avril Lavigne song.
I was going to say Sum 41, a little less.
Yeah. And again, we just were like, okay, let's do this. And then we're like, there's a chorus. So that was the vibe. And like, that's the thing, is like, we did it in this way. And then when McGurr came in and when Chaves came in, they added this like beauty and like subtlety and like sensuality to it, that there's no sensuality in that version right there. It's just like, it's like a hate. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, is that weird? Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
So the audience poll.
Yeah. I mean, there's like, but it just, because I think that was what I thought. We were also trying to be successful too. So it's this weird thing where if you want to win even a little bit, you have to figure out what's going on. Either you can decide to ignore completely what's going on around you, or at the time there was radio, there were labels, you played a game, and I loved that music. And at the same time, I was like, I want to be in that pool. And so how do we get into that pool? And I was like, well, this is a thing that people do. And I like when this comes on the radio, maybe we do it like this.
Well, I'm wondering if we should listen to maybe some of Jason's drum parts.
Yeah.
And maybe some of Michael Chavez's guitar parts as well. Maybe we can start with the drums, Gabe, and hear some of that from the opening.
This is the kick. It's just so good. And the way he's doing the hat, it's like, it's the best, to me, it's the best part of the song. Every time I hear it in Whole Foods when I'm grinding my nut butter, I'm like, God damn, that's a good song. And it's really from the drums.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's great. Yeah, this is.
Should we listen to a little of the guitar pads from Michael Chaves?
Chaves too.
With that Silvertone guitar and the AC30.
He's a master. And his pedal board, his pedal board is the size of a small town.
Yeah, it's like a door.
Yeah. And it's NASA.
It sounds like he's got, knowing him, it's probably like a Memory Man or something like that.
It's so Edge. Again, he's not.
Did you tell him Edge?
I mean,
That's
I always knew, and he knows I'm a U2 fanatic, and he's a U2 fanatic.
But he's developing this guitar hook, you know, that's running with the.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, to make you believe.
It's there.
He's just kind of outlining that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in just the arpeggios, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
He's a monster.
He is. Shout out to Michael Chaves, man. So to complete the conversation, I wanted to ask a few questions that I had about sort of the whole arc of the story of the making of Come On Get Higher. Do you remember when you had kind of first felt as though this song had actually kind of been cemented as part of like what the popular culture and fans of music and radio and, you know, the Billboard charts had kind of embraced, and like you were actually seeing like a palpable reaction when you would either go out to a performance or you'd be walking down the street? Or was there like a moment that sort of cemented like, oh yeah, like we really did it with this song?
Yeah. I remember very vividly playing a radio show in Des Moines, Iowa. I have never felt the way I've felt about Come On Get Higher before or since, where there was a feeling of momentum that was not brought on by work that I was doing. I feel like all my momentum in my career has been brought on by like my sheer force of will and drive, right? Like constantly pushing something up a hill always. Well, Come On Get Higher was the first time where like I didn't push anything, and all of a sudden things were happening. It was the only time in my life I think I took a vacation. It's the only time I've ever taken a vacation where I was like, we said to my wife, I was like, let's have a vacation. And we like went to Australia after the end of a tour cycle. And I literally just decompressed because it was the first time where I was like, I did it. I did the thing that I've always wanted to have happen, which is like momentum outside of myself. And I remember we were in Des Moines, Iowa, playing like on a riverfront for a radio station. They had like a little band shell set up. And it was pretty full. And, you know, I had toured a lot and built following independently. And, but Des Moines, it was like a radio show. So it was other bands and I remember we played the set and everything's going fine. And I was like, cool. And then we played Come On Get Higher. And I can still remember thinking, holy shit, this is a thing. Like you could feel it. Everybody sang every word. Everybody came up to the stage. Everything shifted. And I was like, I don't do drugs. I don't drink. And I was like, I could get used to this. Like, this is this is the most exceptional feeling in the world. It was like, I didn't have to work. I didn't have to push. It was like everybody sang it. And I turned to Aaron, who's my then and still guitar player and best friend. And I was like, dude, I think this is what it's like to have a hit song. I remember being like, because it was getting played, but I didn't know the extent at which people were liking it. And then sure enough, standing on stage, we're playing it. And I was like, I've never felt this in my life. And I'd been doing it in 2008. So I'd been touring for 10 years at that point. And I'd been doing it in cars, then in a van. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden people started knowing it. My dad, who doesn't really even, would say like, oh, so-and-so talks about your song. They heard it at the gym and, you know, that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is rad. Like, I could do this forever. You know what I mean? Like, and as a people pleaser, as somebody who has like a level of shame about who I am fundamentally because of how I grew up, it's difficult to like not, you know, I wanted more. I wanted to give people more of that thing. I was like, well, this is what people like. I'm being genuine in this. I can be genuine like this more. Like, I got it. This is great. I didn't think I had it on lock. I just thought like, all they want is vulnerable me talking about fucking. Yeah. Like, and somebody's body. I love bodies. Like I love touching skin. Like I could do this again. You know what I mean? And it wasn't calculated. It was just like, I felt accepted on this level and it wasn't even me that was accepted. That's the kind of the curse and the blessing of that song is like, I'm known for the songs that people know. Nobody knows who I am because I never cultivated an image that was more important than the thing. For me, it was always just, I wanted to make songs that I liked that people connected to. That was my thing. And so Come On Get Higher was a song that people liked and people would hear it and sing it. I'd hear it in different places. And I was just like, oh my God, I've worked my whole life for this. and I don't have to do anything right now. It's just doing it for itself. That was like it's one of the best feelings it was relief. Yeah.
Do you feel like having a song that is as big as that was, so pervasive, Billboard, all that stuff, do you feel like it really changed your life? Like, was there a palpable difference between, like the way that you were living or the way that you toured or the lifestyle before having a hit and after? Like, can you give like a sense to somebody who has like no context for like what is like a palpable change for?
I think it just gave me my career. Like I'd been working at one wafer forever, and then Come and Get Higher elevated me to this other wafer, and all of a sudden, it just gave me the duration of my career. It just gave me took the roof off the place that I was, and it kind of moved me up to another level. It didn't change. I haven't changed at all. The only change I've had is like evolution as a human and therapy and that kind of stuff. But like, it didn't change what I bought or what we did. It just changed. All of a sudden it was like, oh, I've got a hit song. And then we had a little window. I had a little window where other songs snuck in. And I didn't think about it. I was so not calculated that when Coming Out Higher ended in 2009, when that record was done, or 2000, whatever, I took way too long to make the next record. Mm-hmm. Like anybody else would have been making a record during the process of making their other record and being like, how do we exploit this? I just had no idea that was what you did. Like I had no idea that momentum, you have to move on momentum. I was just like, well, that song was great. I need a vacation. Yeah. Like, let's be done. And then I went and made another record, and that record has its pluses and its minuses. But again, I just was so uncalculated. And what I think it did was it gave me, I think it gave me the scope of my career that makes it way less grind. It's still a grind, but like it gave me a level of validity within this thing that all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that's fun. And I still wear the same t-shirts. All that shit is the same, but it was nice. And when you look at my Spotify spins or whatever, it's like Coming Out Higher like is the reason that things are the way they are. I have no illusions about it. I think there are better songs. I think there might even be better things, but there's not a better moment where it connected with what a slice of the world wanted. It was luck and timing and magic and drive. I had no idea. I just thought, people like music. I made this thing that I liked and people liked it. Great. Let's wait and do the next one. And the next one had a couple songs that were big. They went gold and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think if I'd known or had management that had a fucking clue at the time, they would have been like, dude, we gotta move this. Like, you're going to have a finite window of this kind of thing. Getting this window open again later is going to be really hard. Yeah. So like, let's shovel things into this one. And I just didn't.
You had a multiple time platinum, record going on.
And label. Like the follow-up single was so not the song. Like if we had any clue, we would have been like, Come On Get Higher was a hit. All right, let's follow this, then let's come out with another one. Like now in retrospect, I think, boy, we really squandered an opportunity. You know what I mean? But whatever, who cares? It's like, what opportunity? The opportunity to what? Suck more dick. Like it's like, I like my life. It's like, it's awesome. And I don't mind sucking a dick. I'm just not going to suck the dick I don't want to suck, And like the one I didn't want to suck at that time was like, I don't want to go back out into this radio thing and like do this thing all over again. I need a break. I want to be with my wife. I want to figure shit out. I want to like be holistic in my approach.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm grateful for the song and it's definitely something that was, very instrumental in a specific part of my life. When I moved in with my wife, who is my girlfriend, there was we had an iHome, and it had it was the time when you had your iPad or iPod, and it would hook into this thing, and you had a certain amount of playlists based on whatever amount of memory it had, and that was one of the songs that was like of the 25 songs that were on this like workout version of iPad, and so it would just play in perpetuity in a loop when we would like be painting this house that we moved into together, and so we heard it all the time.
Oh, that's great.
And so it always evokes great memories for me. Dude, whenever I hear it, it was kind of like a magical time in my life. I was out of college. I was moving in with this person I ended up marrying, and so it has a special place for me every time I hear it.
It's the best part about music is what you just described. Like the best part is that it soundtracks our greatest moments.
Yeah.
And sometimes we give it too much credit, right? But it's just soundtracking our thing. And I think getting ready for this, I never listened to myself. And I put on Come and Get Higher, and I was like, I called my wife and I was like, God damn. Like I put on a couple of songs and I was like, dude, it does what you want it to do. And that's so great.
Yeah.
Like when something just does what you want it to do and you put it on and it takes you back to, and it does justice to the memory of the thing you're trying to articulate in the song.
Yeah.
I think that's important because as I get older, I realize I think I always thought my life was going to have these same moments all the time. And I didn't know that they were going to disappear completely. Yeah. And like I was going to enter new phases and new books, not new chapters, but like new books. And Come and Get Higher lives in a phase and articulates a phase that it's like fun to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I would love to hear you do a solo acoustic rendition of it, if you're so willing, and so we can kind of hear some of the magic right here in the studio.
Yeah, it'll be definitely like watching one person get magic with themselves. It'll be like a party of one, your table's ready. But yeah, like watching a friend off. But I'll do it for sure.
We'll save that one for the shorts.
Yeah. Fun.
The sound of your voice, I miss the rush of your skin, I miss the still of the silence as you breathe out and I breathe in. If I could walk on water, if I could tell you what's next, I'd make you believe, make you forget. So come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard, drown me in love. So come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard, drown me in love. I miss the sound of your voice, loudest thing in my head, baby. And I ache to remember all the violent, sweet, perfect words that you said. If I could walk on water, if I could tell you what's next, I'd make you believe, I'd make you forget. So come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard and drown me in love. So come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard and drown me. I miss the pull of your heart, and I can taste the sparks on your tongue. I see angels and devils and God when you come on. So hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, love. Sing sha-la-la-la-la, sing sha-la-la-la-la. Ooh, 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 ooh. Come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard and drown me in love. Come on, get higher, loosen my lips, faith and desire in the swing of your hips. Pull me down hard and drown me in love. It's all wrong, baby, but it's so right. So come on, get higher, come on, get higher. Everything works, love, everything works in your